It'll be a framework.
Brit. I think the Scotch would have a real big problem with you calling me a Brit for that. Anyway.
Framework and then the link page.
Framework.
Or I mean, not the link page, the alt page.
Framework and then the alt page.
Yes.
Indeed.
Hold on, where did I put framework? Ah!
You ready?
Yeah.
On the framework flow, the only thing that I really have to answer here is that he's still going for the journal argument. I labeled this as an independent voter for the competitive equity because it functionally means that we could never, the no negative team could ever win against an affirmative who just says that you could just rewrite a response and that's a reason to vote for the permutation always. This is not fair to us. It's also a voter, it's explained as voter for competitive equity. He says it's only a method for evaluation, but it's not explained in terms of how this gets them out of any sort of other theoretical objections either. And it is definitely not explained in anything else other than how you evaluate substance debate, i.e. you have to evaluate rhetoric above any sort of policy implementation. If I win a reason as to why they're being unfair to us in this debate, then it means you vote negative. The alt page. He says extend the permutation. The only thing he does to answer the intrinsicness permutation is that he says it's not intrinsic. His permutation is do the plan and declare terrorists as enemies. The alternative is to reject the affirmative by labeling our enemies as enemies. The affirmative plan does not say anything about declaring terrorists as enemies. This is definitionally an intrinsicness permutation because it adds shit to the plan that is not inside the plan text or inside of the alternative text. This is bad for a few reasons. One, it justifies new 2AC plan text and literally moots any sort of ground that we have inside of the debate. It also moots the entirety of the 1NC and destroys any sort of predictability that we have throughout the debate. This is witnessed by the fact that inside the 1AR he tries to spin a new permutation story and tries to get him out of any sort of link scenarios that we have. Our argument is that this is not fair to us because it literally means by declaring the terrorists the enemies, we cannot go for the reasons as to why you never declare an enemy inside the 1AC. Our argument is that this should not be allowed. It's also labeled as a voter for ground and competitive equity and completely dropped other than one defensive answer that is not true, which is that he's not intrinsic permutation, but that's not true. He says also Stacy short circuits all of the critical offense that they might be able to garner from here, i.e. that they are just a conclusion, it's not really a permutation, or it's not really a plan text that they have. Or she says that the conclusion is the same thing or should function for you the same thing as a way a plan does, i.e. that it's the only thing that we can base their critical advocacy on. We base the entire strategy around them not being able to define enemies, rather them being able to erase the distinction of enemies. Our argument is that when they are allowed to add shit to this, add shit to their plan text, then it means it erases any sort of link ground we can get. And the other arguments that I'm going to make here is that I know you all seem probably to be hating life because I'm going for this argument, but it is cold fucking dropped. I also think, Matt, you're a lazy ass, and I know Mick, you're a lazy ass. I don't know about you, Steve. Sorry. But you two are deaf. Well, good. Then definitely. This shit is true. It's dropped, and I label it as voters, and there's not another way out for them. They do not have a theoretical reason why. No critical offense to it. They label, do not let the 2AR get away with the new characterizations of critical offense to theory. It's not fair to the 2AR.
How long was that speech?